Welcome to SDN's third week and session. I think it's the third session on mind, body, and soul. Today I'll be covering mindfulness and meditation, and basically just breaking down what mindfulness and meditation are. A lot of times we have different ideas, and a lot of people have different ideas about what mindfulness is, and I find that people don't really know what mindfulness is, and sometimes people are unaware or unsure of how to practice meditation, and whether it even has anything, would bring them any benefits at all. A lot of times I feel like people think it's just something you do when you're stressed, or just like a stress reliever, or something that you turn to and use when you're having a lot of thoughts, or when your mind is crowded. And that's true, and it is a tool for that, but it's more so a tool for your well-being. It's something that you integrate into your lifestyle, and that allows you to be more mindful. Mindfulness is pretty much just being present. It's being present and aware of the moment that you're in. So there's a lot of things, like our mind on average has 64,000 thoughts going through it every day. That's a proven scientific fact. Like, at least 64,000 thoughts are going through your mind every single day. So how do we kind of get ourselves to focus on what we're doing, or focus on the present moment, the present second that you're in, the living, breathing second that you're in, when all these thoughts are going through in your mind? So mindfulness is proven scientifically to promote happiness, to improve your mental and cognitive health, and to better your relationships. So it's all about controlling your mind, and it sounds simple, but it's pretty complex. It's a little complex, but it's just something that you have to practice. Like I said, something that you have to integrate into your daily life. So this is how to finally take charge of your own mind, learn to live in the present, and enhance your overall health and well-being. And I'll take you through kind of understanding what mindfulness and meditation is, and then how it has benefited me. So I'm going to start us off with a little exercise. So take a minute to just be present. I think coming into this session, we should just take a few deep breaths. So right now, as you're listening to me, as you're going through this, try to take a few deep breaths. Try to take a deep breath in through your nose and out with your mouth. And you don't have to rush. Take your time with it. When you take a deep breath through your nose, feel your chest expand. When you exhale through your mouth, feel your body softening, and your body just getting more relaxed with each breath. So let's take a second and do that right now. Make sure the focus is on taking as deep a breath as you can through your nose. Focus on your chest expanding. And when you exhale, focus on your body softening and you relaxing. Usually when I do this, I try to, one of the meditation exercise that we'll be doing later tells you to do it so that if somebody's sitting next to you, they can hear you breathing. So that encourages you to take a deep breath and exhale. Try to let go of any stresses, any worries, any concerns, any thoughts that you have as you exhale. Okay, so I hope everybody's nice and relaxed and ready to go on with this presentation and to practice some mindfulness. So now I want you to take a second and think of a blue lion. I want to literally just close your eyes and think of a blue lion. And I'm gonna let you try to think of a blue line for the next 30 seconds. Think of literally that blue line and only that blue line. Try not to think of anything else. So ready? Go. Okay. So were you able to do it? Was anybody like were thoughts like were you able to literally for that whole period of time focus on just a blue line and not think about anything else? Or were there other thoughts that were popping up in your head like why am I doing this? Like what do I need what am I doing after this? You know, what is even a blue line or do they even exist? Or like other thoughts like what am I doing after this session? Am I hungry right now? You know, that kind of is like a little exercise that gives you a little peek into how hard it is to focus on one thing for an extended period of time. It's like our mind's nature for us to think of other things, for other thoughts to cloud whatever we're thinking of. So why is it so hard to focus on one thought and only that thought for 30 seconds? Like I said, on average, we have 64,000 thoughts a day, and it's kind of like in our nature for the mind to wander. But that doesn't mean that we can't train the mind to be able to focus, to be more aware, to be, if I was to tell you to think of a blue line, for you to be able to have the skill set and the tool set in your mind for you to be able to hone in and focus on that. So here is here's an example of, you know, how to explain mindfulness in easy terms. Think of your mind as two different things, like a dog, where if you have a bone in your hand, you throw it and the dog immediately goes and tries to react to it. Here, when you see the guy throw the bone in front of the lion kind of just sits there and stares at him like why are you trying to make me look dumb? So you want the difference between a dog and a lion is kind of the difference between a mindful mind and an aware mind and a non-aware and a not aware mind. You know, the point is like the lion, when he's faced with a bone or you know, it's kind of like a symbolic thing for us. When we're faced with reality, we can decide what we want to do and what we don't want to do, whereas the dog kind of immediately instinctively reacts to the bone being thrown. So that's, you know, kind of like a little analogy for how we deal with a lot of things in our life. When life gives us certain things, we kind of tend to react sometimes to them, and our feelings kind of take control instead of us kind of sitting down. And when we're faced with these things, separating ourselves from it and seeing them for what they really are and being aware. So the lion here is seeing beyond, you know, just the bone, and he's seeing, okay, this dude is throwing a bone, and his focus isn't on the bone, his focus is on the guy. So the thoughts we have are a result of a cluttered mind, filled with all types of thoughts throughout the day, whether it's our obligations, our responsibilities, our worries, our concerns. Most of the time they have to do with either the past or the future. And mindfulness is about being present. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is our basic human ability to be fully present, aware of who we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So it's not something that's exclusive to certain people. You know, like only certain people are capable of being mindful. Like I guarantee you've been in a mindful state before. If you think, have you ever been so focused, like so locked into something you were doing on one task, whether it's a paper you're writing, a book you're reading, a sport you're playing, or prayer, salat, that, you know, you're feeling something that's like, it's almost like it's just you and whatever you're doing. And it's even hard to actually stop focusing on what you're doing for other things to distract you. It's harder for things to distract you than for you to focus on what you're doing. That state is mindfulness. So it's being present where you are, and then you know, whatever you're doing in that particular moment of time, you're giving it your undivided attention and your awareness. And mindfulness is about understanding, learning how to tap into that whenever you want, all the time. So ways to practice mindfulness just throughout your daily life. You can drop your phone, which is hard. Even for me, it's hard. But kind of get away from your phone. And actually, there's a study that I remember when I was in college that one of my professors he did like a little presentation on mindfulness and was telling us about I think it was Harvard did a study on kids who grew up in between like 2000 or like 2005 and 2010. And this is when technology was really like starting to be really prevalent and integrated into people's daily lives. And they realized that the more screen time kids got, you know, whether it was their phones or whether it was TV or whether it was games, the more screen time they got, there's a part of your brain that's responsible for attention, or prefrontal cortex, that's literally gets smaller. Like the density, it gets less dense. The neurons that are in it are less concentrated. So they realized that a lot of screen time kind of hurts or decreases your brain's capability of paying attention. They realized that when they started introducing these kids to mindful techniques and meditation, even some of them, they realized that that part of the brain actually grew more dense. So it's literally like physically, you can make a physical difference, like a psychophysical difference in your brain. And I found that really interesting. But you can drop your phone and whatever you're reading, and while you're eating, for example, today, if you haven't eaten futur yet, or tomorrow, if you have eaten futur, tomorrow when you eat futur, try to literally just focus on the food you're eating. Like drop, you know, whatever and I remember in a previous session, Abdul Wahab talked about when you're doing something, you should dedicate, you know, and respect the time that you're dedicating to that task. So literally there's time that you're dedicating to one thing, and you're allowing yourself to be consumed by that one thing during that time. So and that's something you owe to yourself too. So the next time you eat, whether it's lunch, dinner, whether it's futur, sitting down and savoring the food that you're eating, and actually taking the time to think about yourself chewing the food, think about the taste of the food. Something that I do whenever I sit down or I get up, I try to remember to force myself to kind of pay attention to myself getting up or sitting down. Like the actual act of me getting up or the actual act of me sitting down. Like, and that's something we do so often, you know? So that's something we a lot of times do unconsciously. So I try to be conscious and aware of me actually performing that act. And your next conversation, try to listen closely to what that person is saying and feeling, not what you're responsible for. So this is another big benefit of mindfulness, is it improves your relationships. It allows you to be a better listener. You can sit in conversations and actually listen to understand rather than listen to respond, or listen to understand instead of a million thoughts going into your head about what this person said in this particular part of what they said. You can literally sit there and you can listen to actually what they're saying and connect with what they feel. So these are just some ways to practice mindfulness in your daily life. Here's another way. You can find your inner silence and just find whatever, throughout whatever you're doing throughout the day, you can just take 2 minutes, 2-minute breaks every hour, which this is something proven to actually help you be even more productive. Taking breaks every hour and kind of just sitting or being present in what you're doing. You know, not necessarily reflecting, not necessarily thinking about what you're about to do or what you've done, but just sitting there and being present in where you are right now. So now we'll get into, well, before that. So like I said, mindfulness is like exercising your mind. So like I said in the beginning, it's a practice. It's something that you have to, dedicate time to actually strengthening. Like think of your mind just like any muscle in your body. Think of your brain as a muscle, and you need exercises. There's certain things that you can do to strengthen them, and then you have to keep up with it, or else you're going to lose that strength. So strengthening your mind allows you to be present, enjoy your moments, makes us happier, improves our mental health, enhances our relationships. But I want to stress that it's an exercise. Like you have to continually work on trying to strengthen your mind, your brain. Okay, so now we'll get into meditation. So what's meditation? For me, I try to think of meditation as a tool to help with mindfulness. So here comes the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is a lifestyle that you adopt of awareness, of present mindedness. Meditation is a tool that you use to help you do that. So it's an exercise. It's like one part of a workout, or it's like a workout. And meditation is, and mindfulness is you being fit, having, leading a healthy lifestyle. So meditation is an exercise that allows you to use your body to achieve a state of awareness of where you are and what you're doing. So you're using your body to help you understand mindfulness, to help you achieve a state of mindfulness. So meditation is a skill. People think that meditation is about, and I think this is why also I get a lot of questions from people who know that I do practice meditation, that, I think the common misconception is that meditation is about just sitting down and doing nothing, or sitting down and, just doing nothing or taking a break, where that's not really true. Meditation is about, it's a powerful practice where you're sitting down and you're actively doing things. Like you're actually actively using certain reference points in your mind to lock you into the present moment. So a lot of times it'll be there, and there's different forms of meditations. A lot of times you'll hear about the conventional method, which is sitting down and breathing. And why is it breathing? Breathing not only helps you calm down, like we did at the beginning of this presentation, not only helps you calm down and calms your nerves, but it also is kind of a reference point for your mind, something that you can focus on, that's constant, that your body's going to do regardless anyway. You can't stop your breathing, and in meditation, it's important, especially as a beginner, to practice allowing your body to breathe, as it is, because your body is, you don't think about your body breathing throughout the day. You don't have to force your body to breathe. You don't have to control it. Your body just breathes and knows what to do. So it's about allowing your body to breathe, and then you following that breath and focusing on the breath, allowing your mind to follow it and concentrate on it. That is a peg for your mind to be able to focus on the present moment, So it's not necessarily about doing nothing, but it's about, exercising your mind. There was a medical study done at Johns Hopkins that proves meditation is as effective as antidepressants in reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and pain. It's literally as effective, and some studies and some doctors say that it's more effective. But it's something that's under your control, and something that also, like I said, takes practice. So it's tough because you have to become comfortable navigating your mind. Like you have to become okay with the thoughts that come into your mind. You have to become okay with the fact that there are a lot of thoughts that come into your mind. There a lot of times we don't notice that. We don't notice that we're thinking. It's kind of like us breathing. We don't notice it's just happening. Our mind just thinks. So us coming to terms with the fact that we're thinking all these thoughts, and some thoughts might be uncomfortable. Especially when you're by yourself and it's just you and nobody else, and you're not talking to somebody and nobody's around you. Some thoughts might be uncomfortable, but you're coming to terms with yourself. It's like you're hanging out with yourself. And if those thoughts are uncomfortable, then that tells you something. like you're learning more about yourself through meditation and through sitting down and thinking, and sitting down and allowing those thoughts to come. Through meditation, it's not necessarily about avoiding those thoughts, because like in the beginning, it might sound like meditation is an effort to try and forget about thoughts or try to block out thoughts, but it's literally the opposite. It's allowing those thoughts to come in. The way that it's explained in Headspace, which is the app I use. Also, if anybody wants to practice meditation or wants to start meditating, I highly recommend Headspace, because it walks you through and it has different videos that teach you what your mind is actually doing and helps you visualize it. But one of the things that it said is, meditation, your mind is kind of like, picture it as a sky, right? And then there's clouds, and those clouds are your thoughts. So sometimes the sky might be cloudy. Sometimes you might not be able to see the blue over it, but there's always blue over the clouds. Like there's always a clear sky. It's just sometimes there's clouds that are passing through that are clouding it. Best way I could put it. But so it's about understanding that you still have that clear sky. Like at the very root of your mind, there's that clear sky. And those thoughts you just have to allow to pass through. And soon enough, you'll start seeing the clear sky. Even when there are thoughts passing through, you'll start seeing in the cracks of those clouds, there's a clear sky at the end. So it's becoming comfortable with yourself, navigating your own inner thoughts, your own feelings, your own emotions. A lot of times we suppress a lot of things and hide things from ourselves, let alone other people, and those things come to mind. So it's for some people it can be a tough thing to undertake, but with practice it helps you to come to terms with those thoughts, and then after you come to terms with the thoughts, it helps you to deal with those thoughts and deal with the triggers and the roots behind those thoughts. And that's what it's done for me. But it takes practice, like I said. And also, like I said, there's different forms. Prayer is a form of meditation. I always say to a lot of the homies, or like people I know, I'm like, prayer is also forms of meditation. Like for me, when I was younger, playing basketball was a form of meditation for me. I would literally just go to the court and shoot free throws. Free throw after free throw after free throw. And that was meditation for me. It was something that I was repetitively doing, and I was just focused on that. So it kind of blocked out, not necessarily blocked out, but it kind of allowed me to see that clear sky. You get what I mean? So it's focusing on one thing repetitively over a period of time that allows you to achieve that state of present mindedness and awareness. And then it unlocks that potential in you to be able to deal with those thoughts. There was another Harvard study that I want to point to that said that 8 weeks of constant meditation. They did a study with a group, and they had them do consistent meditation for 8 weeks. So they meditated every day. It increased the thickness in their hippocampus, which governs learning and memory. So part of the brain literally changed through them meditating. And in certain areas of the brain responsible for emotion. It also decreased brain cell volume in the amygdala, which is responsible for fear, anxiety, and stress. So think about it, like you are literally sitting there and you're breathing and you're focusing on your breath, or you're focusing on one thing, and you're allowing yourself to be present, and it's changing your brain. So participants of that said also that they experienced an improved mood, improved concentration, better memory, just an overall better well-being. Another form of meditation that you're welcome to like read about, and I'm also I just found out about it maybe like a week ago or a week and a half ago, and started reading a bit on it. But mindfulness meditation, it's literally mindfulness meditation, that's the term for it. But it's like things like yoga, where you're actually doing something, and you're focusing on what you're doing. Like you're taking steps. It's kind of like step by step, you're focusing on different things, different like physical things, different movements. paying attention to the different feelings in your body as you're doing those movements. Like stretching even can be a form of mindfulness meditation. So, you know, as opposed to just focusing on your breath, you're focusing to a lot more, and bringing in your whole entire body. If you get a chance to use Headspace, it also does that. It allows you, or it guides you to sit down, and instead of just going straight into your breath, it tells you to focus on your body, the weight of your body on the chair, or the weight of your arms on your legs, or the feeling of the soles of your feet on the floor. So, you know, you can almost just imagine right now, but we're going to do a meditation session, but you can almost imagine right now, before we even do it, how thinking about those, you know, bringing yourself into your body, can kind of, you know, take over your mind, and make you forget about, you know, not forget, but allow you to take a pause away from all those thoughts, that the 64,000 thoughts that are filling your mind every day. So just think about how nice that would be to just take some time every single day to not have any thoughts at all and just be present. And then, like I said, I just talked about all the benefits that has in a long-term way, in the rest of your life and your lifestyle. Okay, so like any other skill, practice. So these are some tips for meditation. These are some of my tips, and I'll tell you about my experiences just with meditation real quick before I get into the tips. But for me, I started meditating maybe 3-4 months ago. A friend had recommended it to me because it really helped him in terms of just his daily life. And it wasn't like something that he undertook when he felt low or when he felt down. It was something that he just undertook to help complement his life, to help supplement, you know, his lifestyle. And he wanted to get into focusing on his mental health, you know. And let's defeat the stigma that, you know, you have to that mental health is just you know, something that you have to deal with when you feel when you feel down or when you feel negative. Mental health is something that it's the same thing as your physical health. It's something that you upkeep, something that you're continually working on, and trying to keep healthy. So even in your brightest moments, you still want to focus on working on your mental health, you know, because if you stop, then you allow yourself to kind of dip back into those moments, or you allow yourself to not know how to deal with negative moments that happen, negative things that happen in your life. So it's just, mental health is as important, I feel like, if not more important than physical health. I wouldn't say more important, I would say as important. But yeah, like a skill practice is important. At first, it felt a little weird for me, like just sitting down, you know, and not doing anything, and especially because sometimes my attention span is like all over the place. And me especially, like, if you know me, I have a million, I probably have like, forget 64,000, I have like a trillion thoughts going through my mind every day. But so it felt a little bit weird just sitting down and not doing anything, and like all those thoughts going through my head. But as I went on, for example, like a week later, it got better than when I first started. 2 weeks later, it got better than when I first started. By the time I got like 2.5, 3 weeks in, I was tapping in, like it almost felt like there was, and this sounds kind of weird, but it felt like there was a part of my brain that like just was like lit up. You know what I mean? Like like I was so focused, and and I felt this before. Like I felt this when I'm super focused on a task. For example, like when I was in college, just writing a paper or something, and I was just locked in, like in that moment of flow of like Zen, where I'm just like writing. Or when I'm working on music, like when I'm writing a verse and I'm just locked in, like I'm not, like I can't be bothered. I'm just writing. I'm just writing until I finish it. Or when I used to be hooping, like just shooting free throws and one after the other, and it's just like a repetitive thing. Like I was locked in, like that feeling of being locked in. I literally feel it physically, like in my head, like I feel it. So I started feeling that after a while, and I was like, wow, like this is cool because I didn't have to do much. I didn't have to get up and do things. I didn't have to like. I was literally just focusing on myself and focusing on the present moment, and I was able to tap into that. So yeah, it's been mad cool for me. And then long term benefits that I felt is I feel like I'm more aware of what I'm doing. For example, like if I'm working on a track, then I'm more aware of, I'm not like rushing to try and do something. I'm not like thinking a million different thoughts about, should this be like this, should be like this. I'm kind of just in the, experiencing it as I'm doing it. That's the best way for me to describe it, experiencing it as I'm doing it. And allowing myself to do that. Also has made me a way better listener. I feel like there's people around me that I can just, like when people are talking, I can listen and thoroughly listen to try and grasp as much of the meaning from what they're saying as possible. So it's definitely done that for me. And I'm just overall, I feel like it's allowed me to focus better. And I try to meditate every day. Some days it's like, I miss some days, but I try to meditate every day, just to continue working on my mind. Yeah. So these are some tips for meditation that I have. Take your time, for sure. For me, I always felt like, okay, does it have to be this long? Does it have to be this long? Do I have to, for example, when it was guided meditation and it was like, all right, now let's shift our focus to this. Was I immediately like, I was, it's like stress. It's like when you feel pressed for time, those become stressful moments. Like you have to change your mind to this, or you have to think about this, or like when there's thoughts going through your mind, you're like, like I have to switch back. I have to get back into my, like, it's not like that. You don't want to force anything, you want to allow yourself to experience the moment. And even if you feel like you're not doing it right, there's no right or wrong way per se, there's a guide, there's a path to do it, but there's not necessarily, you're doing it wrong. Like what you want to do is you want to focus on the present moment, and however you do that is the right way. So that goes into the second point, is allowing your thoughts. So it's normal for your thoughts to wander when you're meditating. In the guided meditation that we're doing right now, it'll probably, I think it also, alludes to that, in that if you start getting thoughts, don't try to immediately shift your focus back to the meditation, or like force yourself to shift your focus back into the meditation or your breath. Try to allow those thoughts to pass. If you get an itch on your leg, try to allow, you can even focus on it. You can even think about that thought or think about that feeling, and then you allow it to pass on its own. And then you bring yourself back into the meditation. So it's being easy with yourself. That's something that also Abdul Wahab mentioned that I I've been thinking about on a daily basis, is being gentle with yourself. Like, allowing yourself to have thoughts, allowing yourself to be human, you know what I mean? And not being too hard on yourself. So you definitely want to do that when you're meditating. You want to be easy with yourself. And then the third thing is practice, practice, practice. Staying consistent is the most important thing, I feel like, with meditation, because everything else will come. You'll understand how to rechannel your focus. You'll understand how to, when your mind starts deviating or going this, left or right, you'll understand how to balance it and come back to, that state of flow. You'll know how to, sometimes, even if you're falling asleep, you'll know how to bring your attention back to your awareness. So staying consistent is key. And then in the long-term effect, in that study, in the Harvard study, Johns Hopkins study that I told you about, that 8 weeks of them doing meditations, that 8 weeks of them practicing mindfulness paid off long-term, like years. They checked back years after the fact. And I'm not sure if they kept up meditation or not, but they checked back with those participants years after the fact, and they saw that that study, that 8 weeks where they were practicing mindfulness, paid off, years ahead. So I would say practice, make sure that you're doing it consistently. And yeah. So now I want to also, okay, this is another part of the tips. I just did it in my notes that I wanted to mention. Allow it. This is something that my bro who recommended meditation to me, told me in the beginning, and it stuck with me. And I think he might be in here. If he is, shout out Ryan. But allow it to serve you. You don't serve it. So you're not serving the meditation. When you're meditating, you're not, and this goes with these three tips of taking your time. Like, don't allow the meditation to guide, allow it to guide you, but don't allow it to control you, like it's there for you. You're not there for it, so use it and don't let it use you. Use it to your advantage. So yeah. Now, without further ado, the moment we've all been waiting for, we're gonna start an actual guided meditation. So wherever y'all are sitting, if you're sitting in a chair, that's good. If you're laying down, try to sit up. That's what it's gonna tell you to do. But if you're more comfortable laying down, then that's cool. That's okay too. And yeah, just sit up with your feet on the floor. And yeah, and that's pretty much all we have to do. Get ready. The actual session will prompt you to do other things. So let me see if I can pull this up. And if you guys can't hear it, let me know. Somebody let me know. Okay, y'all ready?
Hi, my name's Andy, and over the next 10 days, I'm going to show you a really simple way of getting some more headspace in your life. Now, if you haven't watched the introduction animation yet, you're probably going to want to do that now before we begin.
That's okay.
And don't worry if you've never done anything like this before. It's a really straightforward technique, and I'll talk you through every step of the way. All you need to do is to sit back, relax, and allow your body and mind to unwind. So just take a moment to get comfortable. It doesn't matter whether you're sitting on a chair or on the floor, whatever suits you best. But I'd like you to begin with your eyes open. Not really staring at any one particular point, just a nice soft focus, just aware of the space around you in the room. And as you sit there, I'd just like you to take a couple of nice big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in through the nose, just focusing on the chest expanding, the lungs filling with air. And as you breathe out, just noticing how the body softens each time it exhales. Now, as you do just these first few breaths, I'd like you to do it loud enough so that if someone was sat next to you, they'd actually hear you breathing, just for these first couple of breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next out breath, just gently closing the eyelids and just feeling the weight of the body as it presses down against the chair or the floor below you. Just noticing whether the weight falls directly down through the middle of the body, or perhaps a little bit more to the left or to the right. Just feeling the sensation of the soles of the feet resting on the floor. and of the hand, just resting on the legs or in the lap. So just bringing the mind into the body, becoming more aware of the physical senses. And in just the same way, it's like you to begin to notice any sounds. I think very often we see external sounds as something sort of potentially gets in the way of a quiet mind. But in this exercise, we're actually going to use these different sounds. So just for 10 or 20 seconds, just noticing all the different sounds going on around you right now. And then just bringing the attention back to the body again. Just starting to notice how the body feels right now. Very often we're so busy doing things, thinking about things, we're not really aware of how the body feels. Just starting off at the top of the head, just take the next 20 seconds or so, just to gently scan down through the body. Just starting to notice which areas feel perhaps a little tight or tense in some way, which areas feel nice and relaxed. So we're not trying to change anything, we're not judging it, we're just building up a picture, starting to notice how the body feels. You scan down towards the toes. Now as you're scanning down in this way, you probably already started to notice that as the body breathes, it creates a rising and falling sensation. You're just starting to notice where in the body you feel that movement most clearly. It might be in the stomach, around the diaphragm, the chest, maybe even the shoulders. Not trying to change it, allowing the body to breathe quite naturally in its own rhythm, its own time. It's becoming more aware of the rhythm of the breath, whether the breaths are long or short, deep or shallow. And just to help you maintain that focus on the breath, just silently starting to count the breaths as they pass. So 1 with the rising sensation, 2 with the falling sensation, then 3, then 4, just up to a count of 10. When you get to 10, you can stop and start again at 1. Just try that a couple of times through. Remember, allow thoughts to come and go. But the moment you get distracted, just gently bringing the attention back again to that physical sensation of the breath. Perfectly normal for the mind to wander off. Remember, as soon as you get distracted, as soon as you realize that the mind's wandered off, just gently bringing the attention back again and just picking it up from the number you left off on. And just for a moment now, I'd like you to let go of any focus at all. So not even focusing on the breath now. Just take a moment to allow the mind to do whatever it wants to do. So if it wants to think, let it think. If it wants to be busy, let it be busy. So no sense of effort or control, just allowing the mind to do whatever it wants to do. And then just gently bringing the attention back to the body. Just starting to become a little bit more aware of the physical sensations in the body again. Feeling of contact against the chair or the floor. The soles of the feet on the floor. The hands and the arms on the legs. Just starting to notice any sounds around. And just bringing yourself back into the immediate environment around you. And in your own time, you can just gently open the eyes. Have a stretch if you'd like to, and just sit back in the chair. So how does it feel having taken a few minutes out of the day? Do you feel a little bit calmer, a bit more relaxed? So don't worry if there's still lots of thoughts running around. That's perfectly normal at this stage. And the mind can change a lot from day to day as well. But before you jump up right now to get on with things, just take a few moments to really to sit back and appreciate how good it feels to get a little bit more headspace. And I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for day 2 of Take 10.
What's up, everybody? This is the Nada Shahada podcast.
So that wasn't supposed to happen. the podcast, my bad. That just came out the cut. But I hope that helped y'all. And that's like pretty much what I use every day on a daily basis to meditate. First of all, the dude's voice is mad soothing. I know y'all heard that. Bruh's voice is like, you know what I mean? Like, mashallah, because he just got a soothing voice. But yeah, and like, Mandur, yeah, I'm looking at your, the British voices. I like, the British voices y'all got the most relaxed voices, mashallah. But nah, yeah, it makes you feel relaxed, and you kind of, you feel your body relaxing. But the more you do it, you kind of feel the advantages that it has for your mind. You start to feel like, okay, when you're in a situation where there may be conflict, or when you're in a challenging situation, you can use those tools. At first, you're using those tools like the breathing, like to bring yourself back into your body as references for you to get back into the mindful state. But then after a while, you just can do it. Like, you can just tap into that mindful state, you know what I mean? it's like working out. Like you're using the weights to lift, right? But then after a while, you can, I don't know if this is a good analogy, but after a while, you have that strength and you can just lift things. You know what I mean? Like, so once you build that up, once you build that mental capacity up, that mindful capacity up, you can, it helps you tackle on your challenges. And life is about, I feel like life is lived in moments, you know? So mindfulness is about putting yourself back in the moment, you know, instead of you going, thinking about yesterday, what did I do yesterday? What happened yesterday? What, you know, I have to do after this, what I have to do tomorrow, all the things that I have to get done today. What time am I going to go to sleep? You know, what do I have to do next month, next week, next year? You know what I mean? Like we're always thinking about behind and in front of us, like, but we're never, you know, it's rare that we're sitting there and we're actually focusing on where we are right now. And that's life. Like, how are you going to live life thinking about tomorrow? You know what I mean? Or about yesterday? Then you're not really living life. I feel like when you're really mindful of your moments and you're living in the now is when you're really living life, because you really experience it. And you're experiencing life, you know what I mean? Not to say that the future doesn't matter and the past doesn't matter, but you know, you wanna have that mental capacity to be able to focus on now. So yeah, I have one more analogy that he didn't, I thought he would say in this, but he didn't say in this. Training the mind is like, I don't know if any of y'all know how a horse is tamed. You know, like how a wild horse is tamed. What they do is they'll attach a rope to the horse, and then they'll have like a fenced area, mush, and they'll attach the rope to the horse, and the horse will run around wherever they want to run, wherever it's like free range, right? And the fenced area is a lot, you know, they keep it large, and they allow the horse to run around. When the horse gets to where the fence is, so they don't run the fence over, they kind of give them a tug. Sometimes they don't even need a fence. They just put the rope on the horse, and they allow them to run around. Once they get to that perimeter, they give it a little tug, and the horse knows, okay, you know, but not necessarily it knows, but it acknowledges that little tug. Then it starts running around and running around and running around, and it might approach the perimeter again. Then it gets a little tug. So then, okay, now it knows its perimeter is a little bit smaller. Then you start decreasing the perimeter. So the horse is running around, and then you give it a tug a little sooner. And the horse is running around, and you give it a tug a little sooner. And it's running around, and you give it a tug a little sooner. So then you get to a point where it just naturally understands that this is my perimeter. This is my base. You don't even need a fence. You know, like this, it understands to stay in this general area. That analogy is like training the mind. You know, your mind is always running around, always, thoughts are always running through your mind, like you're always preoccupied by something. But then when you're meditating and when you're using tools like meditation, you're giving your mind like a little tug. You know, like you're setting a perimeter for yourself, you're setting limits for yourself in terms of how far your brain goes before, or your mind travels before you you know, ground it. So you give it a little tug, and then you give it another little tug, and through meditation, you're giving another little tug until you become a lot more in control of your thoughts and of your mind, of your daily life through that, you know? So yeah, allow it to serve you. Don't serve it. What do I have next here? Yeah, the perfect way to reset and refocus is to simply take a pause. So by taking those pauses throughout your day, multiple times throughout the day, even like I know people who I look up to, who meditate multiple times a day, you know, just because that's how much they, you know, they want to pay attention to their mind that much. They want to pay attention to their mental health, so they do it multiple times a day. So you can do it more than once a day. Right now I do it once a day, and it's usually when I wake up. And also it goes along with, I have a little session every morning that I do, or try to do every morning, where I meditate and I journal. And I think Tabarak so sorry. Tertil. Maybe, I promised I wouldn't do that again. That's my second strike. I'm not doing it again. But Tertil may be covering journaling during one of the sessions. So journaling is also a powerful way for you to come to terms with your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, yourself, getting a better understanding of yourself. So I have a little session every morning where I dedicate that time, where I meditate and where I journal, and that's helped me immensely in my life in terms of having more self-control, having more mind control. So yeah, the app is called Headspace. If y'all want to check it out, I think it's available on all, like the app platforms. If you can't get it, or if you have to, like, if it makes you pay for anything, holla at me, because I got the I got the black market jump. So holla at me. But yeah, so I hope this has helped y'all. I hope y'all take this into your daily lives and integrate it into your daily routines, and it helps you to get a little bit more headspace and mindfulness in your life. So yeah, remember to care about yourself. Take care of yourself.
Hey Jihad, there's 2 questions on YouTube. The first one is from Amani. Hi Jihad, I tried meditating and it's not easy, but I noticed that there's a flow of thoughts that surprisingly can be overwhelming. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
like I said earlier, it can be overwhelming. It's uncomfortable sometimes to navigate your mind, because you're putting yourself in a state where it's like you're not doing anything and you're not distracting your mind from anything. So those thoughts tend to come. Sometimes if you're suppressing things, or there's certain things that are in the back of your mind, or certain things you're dealing with that you're kind of trying to get away from, they tend to surface during meditation sessions. That's good though, I feel like, because it forces you, and it gives you a chance for you to tackle them instead of hiding from them, instead of ignoring them. It gives you a chance to actually come to terms with them. What I do for me, that's why I say I couple meditation with my journaling, because for me and also, this is not, I want to emphasize, it's not a substitute for seeking actual help if you need it. Like, it's not a substitute for therapy. It's not a substitute for talking to people and actually getting support, but it's a tool to help you accomplish the same. And maybe at first you need other support, and then you can get on once you're on your own 2 feet, you can handle that. But I think when those thoughts arise, it's an opportunity for you to be able to tackle them. And so I journal, and I talk about those thoughts that are actually going on in my mind. And I tend to realize that the more I talk about them with myself, the more I just start, breaking them down, dissecting them to the root causes of them. And then I tackle the root cause. And it's almost like I'm giving myself advice. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, when I journal, it's weird, because at first it'll start by, I'm wearing a white shirt and I'm sitting down, and yesterday I did this, and this is how I feel today. But then by the end of it, it'll be like, yo, I just gave myself advice. Like, I just told myself how to deal with this problem. I just told myself how to deal with this issue. Whereas if I was just sitting down and I was thinking about it, I don't know if I would have came to those conclusions, or came to those insights. So I think it's an opportunity, like I said, and I think you should pay attention to that. You should pay attention to those moments. But in terms of, and I know you might be asking, okay, so how do you get yourself to meditate if these thoughts are going through your mind? I feel like he said in the Headspace, this Headspace soothing voice guy, when the thoughts are running through your head and there's a lot of thoughts going through, that's okay. That's natural. You want to notice that those thoughts are happening, and then you want to you gently tug on your mind, gently shift your focus back into your body, into how the weight of your body is on the chair, into how the soles of your feet are, the feeling of the soles of your feet contact with the ground, into your breathing. That's why he asks to do numbers like in, out is 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of preoccupies your mind so that you're just thinking about that. So, but sometimes still you get distracted, but you just want to give your mind a tug. So it's like a push-up. You know what I mean? Whenever your mind gets distracted and you bring it back, it's a push-up. Whenever your mind gets distracted, you bring it back, that's another push-up. So you're building up that strength.
That's a great analogy. I think Tweety has asked, and I think you've kind of answered it, but I'll ask again. He said, can meditation sometimes do the opposite and be a distraction or make you lose focus on what you're doing?
No, I don't think so, because it's not like you're not meditating 24/7, Mush. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're doing there's other things you're doing, this is kind of like taking a break from all the things that you're doing and allowing yourself to like the way I want to describe it is it's not, because you're making a valid point, because a lot of times people will feel like this is just me taking a second to just relax. You know what I mean? It's just me taking a second to just take a break from life. It's if you perceive it as that, it can be that, but I think it's more than that. I think it's a training ground. Like I view it as the gym for my mind. Like I view it as training grounds. Like I do it so that the rest of my life is easier, so that my mind is better capable to deal with other things that arise in my life, with challenges, with thoughts, with things like that. So that's what I feel like the benefit that it brings me. I guess it just depends on your perception. Like if you perceive it as something that's could be a waste of time, it could be. But if you perceive it as it's training grounds, which it is, and it does have those long-term benefits, then you can, take those moments, whether it's, like that was 10 minutes. There's like some people meditate for 15, some people meditate for 5 minutes, some people meditate for 20 minutes, some people meditate for 6 minutes, 3 minutes. So you can take that little time out of your day to do that. And another thing I want to mention for me also, what does that for me is prayer as well. Like taking those 5 periods throughout my day to pray, to salat, like that's meditation for me too. But you want to like meditation has served as a foundation for the skill that I use even when I'm praying. It allows me to focus on the prayer. It allows me for my mind not to be wandering all over the place when I'm praying, So, yeah.
That's beautiful. And I know a lot of fitness exercises and routines that a lot of trainers do. They encourage meditation after the workouts to help with focus on breathing and to cool down the body. So I know it's also a really big part of fitness regimes that are going forward.
For sure.
Yeah. I think you've answered all the questions. So you meditate someone's asked, do you meditate at the same time every day? And you said every morning you meditate and journal.
Yep, I meditate every morning and journal every morning. Pretty much I try to wake up like a little bit before I have to do it, things like before my day starts to do it. So yeah, I try to keep it the same day just so it becomes a routine, but that's a matter of like personal preference, I feel.
Hey Jihad, thanks so much for the session and all the insights.
My bro.
I just wanted to ask, like, I guess you were talking about how it kind of helps focus your brain. And I guess, do you think that, so because you gave the analogy of the horse, and it's about focusing the mind, but do you think it like limits creativity in any way, or is it just going to help boost creativity?
That's a great question. That's a great question, because you would naturally think that a lot of thoughts would lead to creativity, yeah. But I think for me, it's made me more creative, I would say, because for me, when I'm creating, it puts me in the state of, all right, let me focus on what I'm doing. That's really the benefit that applies in those cases from meditation. It allows me to focus and be present in what I'm doing, and then I can focus. I don't think meditation is about abstaining from thought. I think it's about noticing thought and noticing that you have a lot of thoughts. And taming the mind isn't necessarily about stopping a million thoughts, or decreasing the amount of thoughts that you have. I think it's about noticing those thoughts and understanding them, and then naturally it becomes less thoughts, because I think for me, when I'm thinking, it's usually like a thought, and then a thought about the thought, and then a thought about the thought, and then a thought about that thought, and it's like that's how it's like a perpetual cycle. But when I'm being mindful, and since I've started meditation, it's allowed me to be like, okay, there's a thought, and I understand that thought in its full capacity, and then I don't have to continue to, and that's what it's done for me. But it's made me more creative, I would say. Like it's helped my creativity.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, like what you just said there, because it's almost like it clears the smoke in a way.
Yeah.
There to be like, and clears the fog, and then there's clarity in the thought. And I guess it's what you were saying as well, is like, imagine times where you have been told to do something, and you it's important, and so, but you don't write it down. Instead, you have to, like, to make sure that you do it, you sometimes have to think about it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You keep saying, I've got to do that thing, I've got to do that thing. But if you just write it down, and like, sometimes just simply as something just as simple as writing it down makes it easier to remember, and then you remembered it, and you've thought about it 5 or 6 less times. So I don't know, maybe meditation could be similar, where just by having that mindfulness and tracing back those thoughts, you then realize, okay, I don't need to have this thought 17 times and be anxious about it. I just need to have it once and think about the reasoning behind it, and then kind of sit with it and just allow it to be there and exist.
Exactly. I think meditation, journaling, prayer, these type of things are all meditation. I feel like is a tool for mindfulness. Mindfulness is the end goal, and meditation is a tool, to achieve that, I think. So it just teaches you, it just helps train you. It's like the weights, it's just helping to train you. You're using them to get stronger. So meditation, you're using it to practice mindfulness, to become more mindful. So, yeah.
G, thank you so much for the insights, bro. Had a question as well. So, like, with meditation and everything, I don't know if I'm right here, but can you assume that there's like different levels to it? And if so, like, what other kind of techniques would you suggest, or maybe something you would probably explore at some other date to actually aid in trying to achieve that mindfulness?
Oh, that's a great question. Like, you mean what additional levels you feel like I would unlock, or what I need?
That's it. Yeah. So is there like different levels to it? Because I think you were saying you've been doing it for like 3-4 months. Mm-hmm. Have you looked at like people that have done it for maybe a much longer, and seen like how if there's any different levels that you can achieve as you go on with the training, basically?
Bro, I just had a conversation. That's crazy. I literally a couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with my bro who introduced me to meditation, Ryan. Yeah. If he's here, I don't know if he's tuned in, but if he is, he remembered this conversation. Like, he's been meditating for a while, but he realized that's the thing. Like, when he had told me that it serves me, I don't serve it, that was one of his biggest realizations. Like that was something that he felt like after meditating for such a long period of time, or like, after consistently doing it, integrating it into his life, he realized that it's a tool that serves him, and that he doesn't serve. But he also realized that another thing was, he felt like he didn't have to meditate for 10 minutes exactly, or 20 minutes, or 30 minutes, or whatever the guided meditation says, or how it takes you. He realized that he could be meditating, and then in 5 minutes be like, okay, I feel ready to start my day now, and
wow.
go. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like he just got used. He integrated it into his life, and he's felt the benefits of it, and he's developed that strength and that mental, mindful strength of it. And so now he can just do it. Like, I think the next level for me, and I've been kind of tapping into it, but it's like, for me, at first it was like, all right, I'm using this app, I'm using this guide for me to take a second to relax, for me to take a second to come to terms with my thoughts, for me to train myself to do this. Then once you have trained yourself, you can just tap into that. Like, you're just literally, it's how you're living. Like, when you're eating, you're literally you're just enjoying your food, and that's all you're doing, and that's normal to you. Like, that's your lifestyle. Or when you're driving, you're just enjoying the drive. You're not trying to pick up your phone. You're not trying to make a call. You're not trying to do anything. You're just literally just enjoying the drive, enjoying that time. When you're spending time with your family, you're not like pulling up different things. You're not on your phone. You're not doing this and third. And my siblings is always on their phone when it's family time. But like, I mean, like, you're not like doing all this extra stuff. And your attention isn't going in different places. You're literally just present. I think that's the next level. You just tap into that the mindset. And I think even after that, the next level after that, my bad if I cut you off. Then the next level after that, I feel like, is like, let's say I'm about to go sit down and create, or I'm about to go sit down and write something. I don't have to wait for the inspiration to come to me. I don't have to wait for the focus to come to me. I can just channel it. Like, I just
call upon it, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, G, man. That's incredible insights, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's definitely powerful, bro. Like, from my experience, it's definitely powerful if you do it the right way, and if you do it the right way, and if you allow it to have those benefits on you, then it's because it's all about perception, you know. Like, everything I think is about perception. So if you perceive it as it's something good for you, then it will be. It's kind of like that, the placebo effect, right? Like, when they're testing out medicines, they give like a placebo form, and then sometimes the people who take the placebo, they're like, yo, like, I feel so much better.
I'm feeling better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's your mind. Like, that's literally like, your mind is just made you feel better. Your mind just cleared you of this ailment or whatever that you were dealing with. But that's the power of the mind. I think it's cool. Like, mindfulness and meditation helps you understand that how powerful your mind is.
That's it. And that's why you've kind of constantly referred to it as meditation being a tool for the mind.
Exactly. Because your mind is capable, yeah.
Got you, G, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Bro, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Jihad, first of all, I want to say that was so incredibly peaceful and serene to go through. I'm curious, what are some ways that you found meditation to have an effect in your life? So whether it's in your relationship with others, whether it's like, what effects has it had on you?
That's a good question. Meditation for me has helped me practice more patience with others. Like, if I feel, I try to literally keep this in mind. Like, if I feel triggered by something, or I feel angry, or I feel my emotions start to rise, I'll try to bring myself back into this state of, like, you know, and it's not like I'm ignoring the emotion. Like, I'm noticing the emotion. I'm like, okay, I'm mad right now, or I'm sad right now, or even I'm happy right now. And it's like, okay, I feel this way. I'm understanding. I'm being in the feeling. Okay, and this is why I'm feeling this way. And then I bring myself back into a level of balance. You know, I feel like that's what I do, and that's the way that it's helped me. It's given me that tool, the toolbox, to be able to be present. You know, bring myself back into a state of, like, control over myself, so that, like, when I am emotional, I'm not just saying things out of emotion or doing things out of emotion. It's like, I'm balancing myself, bringing myself back, and I notice it. So I just notice things more. I'm more aware. I would say I'm a better listener. Like, I can listen to people better, and I'm not, like, thoughts aren't flying through my mind. I'm just taking in I'm receiving what the person is communicating to me. it's made me a
So
little.
has that had an effect on the people around you?
Yeah, and yo, I'm glad you bring this up because there's a certain level. If y'all do the headspace stuff, there's a certain level where it comes to it starts you off slow, and it's like a build up. So that was the first one of the first foundational series. Then there's like different series, and it's a build up. It starts incorporating different things. At a certain point, it incorporates motivation. And what's your motivation to for meditating? What's your motivation for sitting down and doing this today? And then it tells you to incorporate others into your motivation.
Oh,
So
wow.
like incorporating other people, how does it benefit you? Yeah, but how does it also benefit other people? And you have to try and sit down and think about that. You know, like before you actually get into the breathing and into the relaxation part, you think about, okay, how is this benefiting me? How is it benefiting other people? And I think for me, it's my motivating factor behind it is changing how I view myself and how I view others. You know, so I'm viewing myself in a better light, and I'm allowing myself to come to terms with things that I feel, come to terms with the ways that I am, understand myself better, and appreciate things, and you know, just view myself better, talk to myself nice, you know what I mean, like see myself in a positive light. And then also the same for others, seeing other people, being empathetic, like being compassionate, you know what I mean, being like, when you're tested, like not reacting out of emotion. And so I think that's a way that it's helped other people too.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.